Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Krame Center for Mindful Living's Wellness Wednesday. We are so delighted to have Erin joining us this evening. So just a little bit about the Krame Center for Mindful Living. We are a nonprofit organization offering programs rooted in mindfulness, positive psychology, and self-compassion. Our mission is to help people reduce stress, become more resilient, and to live better lives. We are overjoyed that Erin is joining us, and to tell you just a little bit about her many accomplishments. Erin is an international wellness consultant, meditation teacher, retreat leader, and host of the Wise Woman podcast. She facilitates innovative mindfulness workshops and trainings in the areas of meditation, emotional intelligence, positive psychology, nutrition, and yoga, just to name a few. She is also the creator of the coaching certification, certificate in mindfulness and well-being strategy, and up-level meditation coaching and training programs. And so without further ado, I would love to hand it over to Erin. Erin, thank you so much for joining us. We're so happy to have you here.
Yippee! How fun is this? What a great way to end the day. Thank you, Sarah, so much. Thank you, Krame Center, for having me. I'm a big fan, like devotee, immensely. So thank you so much. And thank you, all you fabulous women who are joining us right now, and that we can really dive deep. So I'm just going to share my screen and we can get into it. So everybody sees my screen, no notes, looks good, divine. Thank you everyone so much for being here. Thank you, Sarah, for that intro. My name is Erin. I travel around the world and I educate on about 10 different workshops ingrained in meditation and mindfulness, positive psychology, emotional intelligence, which we're going to dive into that workshop right now, functional medicine, nutrition, yoga, yogic philosophy, entrepreneurship, really hyper modern day mindful entrepreneurship. And the queen of all the workshops I really share is on meditation and mindfulness. And really, the reason I love emotional intelligence so much, it's so heavily rooted in meditation, mindfulness, being present, and diving a little bit deeper below the surface. So I'm so excited to share this work with you today. A lot of my background, I lived in Israel for a very long time. I lived in India for a very long time. I have my master's in clinical psychology and education from Columbia, and I spend a lot of right now helping more spiritual-based entrepreneurs launching and growing their business, so a ton of business coaching. But today we are going to dive into emotional intelligence. So here's all my info. Feel free to reach out in any capacity. You can DM me, email me, send a pigeon. I love hearing from you. And we will engage with each other via the chat box. So know that that's always an open portal for us to connect. I want to start by talking about Roberto Essaggioli. And the reason I like to start off with Essaggioli is because not a lot of us know of him. Not a lot of us are very familiar with his type of work. So he's an Italian Jew. He grew up in Venice in 1888. He was super middle class. And he did a lot of work with Freud and Jung, but he disagreed with them. And he actually disagreed with them in like a pretty profound way. So he agreed with Jung and believed that thinking, feeling, sensation, and intuition were core psychological themes, and yet Essaggioli added fantasy and imagination. And the reason that I bring that up right now is we are in the middle of a global pandemic. We are having big conversations that we really needed to wake up to in a short amount of time. And this is important for us to remember that we have to honor our whole being, and that includes fantasy, that includes an imagination practice. So as you are checking in with your mental, spiritual, physical health, make sure you are taking time daily to fantasize. Maybe that means reading a Harry Potter book. Maybe that means watching a vampire movie or something in that trajectory, but being playful, practicing imagination, and understanding that really the founding fathers of clinical psychology in the West encouraged these practices. So just have that in the back of your mind. I know it's something that right now we're definitely not taking time out of our days to manifest or to fantasize. And maybe that's exactly what you need right now. Today, we are diving into emotional intelligence. It has become a super sexy subject, so I'm so excited that we get to talk about it today. This is really when interviewing somebody for a new job, many CEOs and their human resources team who typically oversee the hiring, they are looking for somebody with a high EQ, so someone with a high emotional intelligence. For the sake of our work together, we are going to focus on 3 large areas of emotional intelligence: self-awareness, self-regulation, so this is oftentimes also emotional regulation, and mindfulness. And as we talk about these themes, we are going to bring into that conversation awareness of ourself, but also awareness of the group that we are in the present moment, which really right now is your roommates who happen to be your significant other, your romantic partner, your spouse, your kids, maybe a dog or cat, some of these things as well. I always feel like I have lipstick on my teeth. So I led like a really big workshop last week, and I was with a bunch of high schoolers, and they were DMing me on Instagram, Erin, you had lipstick on your teeth the whole time. So that's something I am now more aware of. So for the sake of our work together, we are going to use these specific definitions. So self-awareness, the individual's ability to accurately perceive one's own emotions while also being aware of the group's emotions at the same time. Self-regulation, the individual's ability to regulate one's own emotions and support the desired emotions in a group setting. Mindfulness, the individual's ability to be calm, centered, and accepting of the present moment. For now, we are going to dive into self-awareness. So everybody, it would be amazing if you had a pen and paper next to you just to jot down notes, or we're all looking at this on the computer, so feel free just to jot down notes right behind you as we go into this. So here are some of the most common tools you can really use to increase self-awareness in any given moment. Ask questions to understand the full scope of any situation. It sounds so obvious, but oftentimes a lot of conflict can really be solved by just asking questions, really deeply understanding everything about a given situation. Listening with undivided attention, so just being fully present and listening with an open heart. Admit when making a mistake and turning those mistakes into opportunities. So this is something that we have a really hard time with, checking in with ourselves and knowing when we are in the right, and also being aware of when we are in the wrong. Solicit feedback. So this is a big one, especially with a lot of my clients are entrepreneurs and a little bit of new entrepreneurs. And one of the best things that you can really do for yourself and for your business is to send out a survey. So send out a survey to your clients, send out a survey to your community, and ask them, how did this program feel for you? How are you thinking right now in this moment? Do you feel heard? So ask for surveys. This is also right now, if you are at home in close corners with your children and you feel like there is a lot of conflict, this is also a time where you can ask your kids, are you enjoying the food that is in the fridge? Is there something else you would prefer as our family evening activity? What is working for you and what's not? Notice body language. So how people are present with you in the moment. Are they sitting with their collarbones towards the sky, the heart to the heavens, or are they slouched over, oftentimes scrolling through Instagram and texting? You know, one of the biggest indicators that you are not paying attention, and this is, I talk about this a lot in my positive psychology course workshop. When you are in a presentation and you lose eye contact with the speaker, that is one way that you are showing the speaker that you are not engaging with the information that is being presented. The other highest one is when you are on your phone. So just being aware that when you are talking to somebody right now or at home with your family, are they paying attention to you or are they scrolling through the phone? And above all, you really want to build trust within the organization. So trust within your family, because that's where we are right now, trust within your community. When we're talking about self-awareness, yes, like these are more of the tangible research, and then we add in that extra layer. So are you aware of your breath right now? Do you feel the seat beneath your tailbone? Do you react without thinking? These are some of the themes that I just want you to consider as we move forward. Self-awareness exercises are taking you a layer deeper. So really recognizing what lies beneath the surface. So with your paper and pen, feel free to answer these questions. How do I feel right now? Like, do you take enough time throughout the day to even check it and ask yourself, Erin, how are you feeling right now? Why am I doing this? Why am I doing this is one of the highest and holiest questions that you can really share with yourself. Why am I making this specific meal? Why am I showing up for this specific job? Why am I doing this activity? You know, why are you here right now in this present moment? Is it because you want to learn? Is it because you're understimulated and this is something that can add value into your life in the present moment? Just getting a layer deeper and becoming aware with yourself. What is your body posture saying about you right now? Are you listening and reclining? Are you listening and you have a full upright posture? What lies beneath the surface? This is deeply Freudian work. Someone who has a regular journaling practice knows the importance of answering this question. So typically when you notice that you are living in a state where you are reacting all day, you are typically reacting to something else that isn't relevant to the present moment. So allowing yourself to go a layer deeper. This is a big conversation. They did when you ask somebody about their morning commute, it's not so relevant right now, but the people who sit in traffic all day and then they show up to their first meeting and they're frustrated and they're like ready to sweat through all of their clothes and they're thinking about the person that cut them off on the highway. They're bringing that energy into their first meeting. So taking a step back, breathing, practicing awareness, what lies beneath the surface. And then really, I would say maybe this is even above all, what am I saying to myself in my own head? Is it a positive thought pattern? Is it a compulsive negative thought pattern? How are you speaking to yourself? This is a really good time to say whoa instead of oh, like instead of being so unkind to yourself, it's more of a time just to be aware and almost let that analytical mind take a back seat. Emotional intelligence right now is important because we want to talk about what is the best at-home work ethic. So when I originally created this workshop, I created it for an organization that works remotely. So, I mean, it was like before all of this. And something that we talked a lot about is how do you feel when you do work in your bed, in your pajamas, versus when you do work at a desk in an outfit that's really something that would also be appropriate to wear into an office. Does it feel different? And a lot of research suggests, yes, that you perform in a different capacity. When you get dressed, you sit in a proper space and you show up that way. This is also the time when I like to, so I always say this with my clients, do you ever have a dream that you are back in high school and you have a final and it happened to be a final exam for a class you never went to, right? It's like this, almost this dream that happens a lot for people where they have a test they have to take and they like could never find the classroom, or like they never showed up for the class in general. So just knowing what are some of the themes in your dreams. This might be an indicator of something you are anxious of in the present moment. So diving a little deeper, becoming more self-aware. I know this was a big one for me. I was speaking at South by Southwest in 2018, and I recorded myself. I recorded the presentation, and I think that I was speaking with my hands and I was like taking up the right amount of space, but I noticed that there was one person in the front row and I was like literally on top of her when I was speaking. So this was a really good practice for me. So if you are somebody who wants to increase your self-awareness, video record yourself as you are presenting, and you can see how you show up in that capacity. We are now going to move on to self-regulation, really emotional regulation. And this is a time that is a little bit more sensitive because of our current climate. So how do you respond? And do you respond to really anything in a calm and present manner? Do you honor your code of ethics? Now, code of ethics is a really big conversation typically. So this is a good time for you to write down what your code of ethics even are and what that looks like for you. Maybe you value honesty, authenticity. Maybe you value a lot of one-on-one time and connection. And the high and holy question here is, are you showing up for your code of ethics? So when I shared this at Salesforce, one of my clients came up to me after and she said, Erin, I so value one-on-one connection and one-on-one time, and I never make time for any of my employees, like any of my coworkers, anyone on my team. So I'm like really out of line with my code of ethics, and I need to start showing up for that. So this is a good time to really jot down your code of ethics and then ask yourself if you are aligned with them and you are living up to them daily. A big one here is giving praise to those who deserve it. When was the last time you wrote a thank you note or a thank you email? Do you have a gratitude practice? So just keep in mind, maybe this is something you haven't done since you received a proper gift for a birthday or an anniversary. Do you engage in conflict mediation? So this question is more geared towards organizations. Do you bring conflict mediation programming into the office? But this is also for really anyone who is in partnership. Do you go to therapy with your significant other? Do you take time with your kids to step back and say, how do you feel and think about this? You know, I was in the wrong, you were in the wrong, let's have a conversation about it. I love this one. So saying no to impulse, right? That's pretty hard when your kitchen is like a second away from your workstation at our at-home office. When was the last time you said no to a piece of cake? When was the last time you said no to another glass of wine, right? And even last time I presented this workshop, at the end, I received an email from someone, and I presented it around the same time. So I'm in Chicago, so it's 4:18 by me, it's 5:18 on the East Coast. And someone emailed me and said, Erin, the whole time I was just trying my hardest to not open up a bottle of wine. So just really recognizing, where is the emotional struggle? Like, where are you resisting impulse, and how are you using emotional intelligence to regulate your impulses? A big one for leaders is to lead by example. This is a big one for parents as well. So as often as you can, lead by example, practice what you preach. If you value honesty, then be honest. If you value mindfulness, then have a meditation practice. Now is a really good time, and I want us to really consider, when was the last time you wrote a thank you note? What are your values? Do you hold yourself accountable? Do you react impulsively? So this is when I really love to share. I'm going to share this right now as well. So I'm going to share with you another image. And this is a very interesting image, just because this is a list of feeling words. This is a list that it's a specific psychology page where you are using words that you quote unquote should comprehend by about fifth grade, sixth grade area. So this is English words that you have a solid grasp on. And I'm just going to scroll through this really slowly. And I want you to start writing down words that you feel, but maybe you don't use so often. So they're words that you definitely have in your vocabulary, but you might not use them so often. So take out a pen and paper right now and just start writing down any of these pleasant feeling words that you feel, but you don't often use. It's a couple pages long, so I'm just going to keep scrolling. And just write down any that resonate. Don't judge yourself hard. Let the analytical mind take a seat. And then we continue into a higher level of positive words. So just take some time, just jot down any words that really resonate. Maybe you even see a specific word and there's a memory associated to it. Allow yourself to recognize that memory and then just stay present, writing down any words that have an emotional charge, any words that resonate with you. Some of us may have many words, some may have few. There's no right or wrong way. And now we dive into words that are a little bit more difficult or unpleasant, and that's okay. So start jotting down any words that resonate. We're just here for a moment longer, just jotting down the words that resonate with you. All right, cutting you off from writing down all the words because we feel a lot of them. And it's so funny. I think sometimes we look at those words and they seem more advanced than 6th or 7th grade, and that's okay too. So just by a show of hands, because I can see most of you, who here speaks multiple languages, like is fluent in multiple languages? All right. Oh, nice. Lucy, what other language are you fluent in?
French, German, and Italian.
Wow, French, German, and Italian. You make us all look not that awesome. How amazing. So, do you ever feel like you have a feeling or emotion and you can properly explain it in French, but there's not really words for it in English?
Yeah, definitely. I think sometimes too, there's like certain emotions. I know the word in one language, but I don't know it in the other. And sometimes there's just words that there's emotions that you can't translate because there's no word for them in the other language.
And it's such an interesting conversation that in English we'll feel these feelings and we're limited by our vocabulary. So Lucy, thank you so much. I totally agree. There's this one phrase in Hebrew that I use a lot when I'm there, and it's like nishama sheli, and it's great light of mine, great soul of mine, but it's also slang and like something you would shout to somebody when they're doing, like when they're moving kind of slow and you want something kind of quickly, and it's like nishama sheli, like get this to me a little bit quicker, like it's more rapid fire. But in English, you would never say, great light of mine, great soul of mine, can you please get this to me quicker? It's just a translation that doesn't always follow. And this is where emotional intelligence comes into play, because we feel these feelings and we are limited to maybe just English to express ourselves. So what I want us to do, and we'll just hang out in this activity for a little bit and you can pick it up later, but what I want you to do is write a thank you note or a letter of gratitude using the words that you just wrote down. So using English words that are in 5th, 6th grade level English, even though like jubilant, I feel like is a little higher level, but some of these words, and write a thank you note to somebody using those specific words, because sometimes we just need to be reminded that there are other words that we feel, we just don't have them in our mouths to share. Like we always use the same couple words. So just take a moment right now to write a thank you note with the words that resonated with you. And we'll just take another moment here. This is an activity that you'll come back into. I know for me, I need a lot of time to write a thank you note because I want to like deeply drop in. So just another moment here. So everybody back here, you see my screen. Awesome. So while you're looking at the screen, we're going to move into the second part of really understanding emotional regulation. And this really comes back into conflict mediation and conflict competency. So everybody look at the screen. We're going to use the chat box. Tell me what you see. So if you can type into the chat box what you see, what's coming up for you. I don't know if I can see the chat box at the same time. Let's see. Like a fallen tree, a woman and a child. Amazing. So many of us are seeing many different things right now. And oftentimes people see mountains and wind and rocks. But what I want you to do is to bring your left ear to your left shoulder, and you will see a smaller, right? Left ear to left shoulder. Yeah. A smaller person with its hands at its heart center, and then a bigger person with their hands at their heart center and her head as well. Does everybody see that? Is it left ear to left shoulder? Yeah, left ear to left shoulder. Yes. Everybody sees this? Cool. So this is a reframe, refocus model. This is when you are in conflict, it's being able to step back and look at a situation differently. Ready? What do you see first? Amazing. Raise your hand if you saw good first. Raise your hand if you saw evil first. That's okay. It doesn't mean that you're evil, so don't worry. So evil is on the inside in blue. Good is on the outside in green. So sometimes, depending on our headspace, what we see is really our emotional state as well. So good versus evil. Ready, everybody? What do you see? Nice. So we will see, yes, exactly. So either a man looking straight at you or the periphery of a man. So this is reframe, refocus, being able to step out and see from a different angle as well. Last one, are you ready? Is there multiple ways to see one situation? Does anybody here see two frogs? Does anybody here see two horses? Yes. So if you're looking where it says a frog, the head of the frog is also the nose of the horse. So it's the same exact image, but just shifted 1 degree. So this is one way to really, isn't that fun? Yeah. So this is one way to really explain conflict to a child as well. It's also super engaging to bring these practices into your corporation or even with a loved one, because you can be standing there and see a 6, and I can be standing here and I see a 9, yet it's the same exact number. So being able to zoom out, understand that people have different perspectives, and really this is a segue into conflict mediation and conflict competency. So I know there's a lot of words on this slide, but it's a super high level slide to the point where I even encourage a lot of my clients to take a picture of this slide and just have it for personal use as well. These are the 6 thinking traps people tend to fall into. And then keep in mind, I'll go through them, we'll go through them together, and keep in mind where you fall in this scenario. So the first one is jumping to conclusions. Making assumptions without substantial info. Again, remember, in self-awareness, you ask questions to understand the full scope of any given situation. The cue here is to slow down. The questions to ask: what is the evidence for and against this conclusion? The second one is tunnel vision, seeing only the negative or positive side without a complete set of facts. This is another place where you ask for more information, and the questions are: what info did you miss? What clues did you not pick up on? This is also when we tend to make decisions a little bit too fast. The third one is personalizing. So shifting the response to blame one's self. So the cue is to look outwards. And the questions is: how did others contribute? The fourth one is externalizing, blaming someone or something else. The cue is to look inward. How did I contribute? The fifth one is mind reading, maybe the one that I do most often, or like our loved ones will do most often, which is assuming others know what you are thinking. This is a big one in the corporate space as well, because we're not mind readers. We can't always assume we know what everybody is feeling and thinking. So the cue here is to speak up. The questions are: did I properly express myself? And then the last one is overgeneralizing, blaming others or any type of bias. So the cue is to look at your own behavior. And the question is there specific behavior that explains this situation? So these are the main things to really think about when you want to shift conflict. Right now, a lot of what I'm hearing from my clients is that it's really close conflict. It's just being back at home with your kids who are supposed to be in high school or middle school or camp, or they're in college and it just wasn't what the intention was supposed to be. Or you're fighting with someone you typically love, and just because you're together all the time, it is creating a little bit of conflict. So just recognizing, are you jumping to conclusions? Are you externalizing? So if you also want to use the chat box, which of these do you think most happen to you? Most happen to you in your life? Which one do you typically get trapped in? Beautiful. Yeah, absolutely. Have you heard of the word sonder? Sonder is a really cool word because we just added it back into the dictionary, or we added it into the dictionary. So it's nice to know that you can continue to create new words. Sonder is something that we do all the time. We just don't always know that we are doing it. So to sonder we typically do this in airports or malls, and it's people watching. But to sonder is to understand that every person that you see has a deeply intricate and intimate life, just like your own. So everybody that you see deeply feels happiness, joy, despair, and bringing that humanness back into it. So this is really, if you are somebody who is trying to increase your emotional intelligence, especially around emotional regulation towards groups, this is a really wonderful practice. So remind yourself to sonder and to sonder regularly. We now dive into the third theme, and we just have the exact right amount of time to move into a loving kindness meditation. So these are the tools to really increase mindfulness for yourself, in the workplace, in your family unit. Slow down, concentrate on one thing at a time. When you are in the shower, really just thinking about putting the shampoo in your hand, washing your hair, as opposed to all the million things you need to do today. Offer your full attention to each task, no matter how mundane. Accept how you feel in the present moment without judgment. Listen to the sound of your breath, and to practice guided meditation. So wherever you are right now, we are going to move into a loving kindness meditation. We're going to be here for about 5 minutes. So you can just find a comfortable seat. You can roll your shoulders back, connect to your breath, close your eyes, heart to the heavens. Let's take an inhale, exhale here to prepare. Inhale deeply. Exhale completely. Inhale, fill up. Exhale, let it go. Bring yourself close. Recognize what it feels like to be in your own presence. Connect to the person you are, how you woke up this morning, how you chose to move throughout your day. And you say to yourself, from your kindest, most authentic, loving version of you, may you be happy. May you be healthy and safe. May you love and accept yourself just the way you are. May you be free from suffering. May you be an example of peace. And very slowly you allow yourself to flow away. And next, in your mind's eye, You bring somebody towards you that you love with all your heart. Maybe it's a child, a best friend, a romantic partner, a sibling, a parent, a grandparent, someone you love with all of you. Bring this person close. Recognize what it feels like to be in the presence of somebody you deeply love. And you say to them, from your kindest, most authentic, loving version of you, may you be happy. May you be healthy and safe. May you love and accept yourself just the way you are. May you be free from suffering. May you be an example of peace. And very slowly, this person you deeply love flows away. And next, in your mind's eye, you bring somebody towards you that you feel fairly neutral towards. Maybe it's the mailman, the barista at your local coffee shop, somebody who doesn't bring up strong positive or negative feelings, neutrality. Bring this person close. Recognize what it feels like to be in their presence. And you say to them, from your kindest, most authentic, loving version of you, may you be happy. May you be healthy and safe. May you love and accept yourself just the way you are. May you be free from suffering. May you be an example of peace. And very slowly, this person you feel neutral towards flows away. And next, in your mind's eye, you bring somebody towards you that brings up a little bit of frustration. Maybe somebody you feel a bit of conflict towards, a little anger. Bring this person close. Recognize what it feels like to be in the presence of somebody who brings up a little bit of frustration. And you say to them, from your kindest, most authentic, loving version of you, may you be happy. May you be healthy and safe. May you love and accept yourself just the way you are. May you be free from suffering. May you be an example of peace. And very slowly, this person flows away. When we come back to you, we come back to source. Who you are right now in this moment, the person you were when you woke up this morning, how you chose to move throughout your day. And you say to yourself, from your kindest, most authentic, loving version of you, may I be happy. May I be healthy and safe. May I love and accept myself just the way I am. May I be free from suffering. May I be an example of peace. Relax the muscles in your face. Remove your tongue from the roof of your mouth. Give a gentle swallow. Unclench your stomach. Relax your pelvic floor. Wiggle your toes. Inhale deeply. Exhale completely. Inhale, fill up. Exhale, let it go. And when you're ready, you can roll your shoulders back. Gently open up your eyes, coming into this space. Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. This was a workshop on emotional intelligence and conflict competency. So may these practices greatly serve you. I highly, highly encourage, go back to your gratitude letter, go back to your thank you letter, keep writing that thank you note, increase that emotional regulation, share that with somebody you love, and feel free to reach out in any capacity. The Krame Center, I love you. Thank you so much for having me. Kat, Sarah, Simone, Kaylin, thank you all so much.
Thank you so much, Erin. It was so wonderful having you here this evening. It was such a lovely presentation, and you gave so many wonderful tips and techniques, and thank you so much. And thank you, everybody, for joining us this evening. It was a pleasure to have you all, and we really hope to see you sometime soon. Be well, everyone. Take care.